Hi, beautiful people. So, welcome to week 6 in lockdown. We are going into week 6, and this is my weekly tarot reading. And I started these when lockdown began because I felt it was quite important to know what's going to happen next, or to get an idea and a flavour of the week. And this week is going to be a biggie. It's going to be a big one, as if we haven't had enough chaos already. The stars are aligning to give us another big whopping great thud around the corona and in the heart, with a supermoon, a Scorpio full supermoon. And Scorpio is always a very tricky full moon because it's ruled by Pluto, and it really drags up what's in the unconscious. So we're going to see some secrets being revealed. We're going to see some stuff coming up from the darkness. Could be quite a big week for revelations, and not only personal but definitely collective and political. So that is going to be fun and probably quite shocking. We also have 4 planets going retrograde. We have Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn and Venus. And Jupiter, Pluto and Saturn are going to be going retrograde until September, October, and Venus until June. So there's a lot of time for looking inwards and seeing what's happening inside of ourselves, especially with Saturn going retrograde, an opportunity to see where our limitations are and to actually break through some of those limitations. A great time for kind of birthing new things as Saturn goes retrograde. But Jupiter, Pluto, who have been in conjunction, we've had our first conjunction, second conjunction in June, third conjunction in November. So that's going to be interesting with them going retrograde. And of course, Venus going retrograde while we're in lockdown means that this opportunity to go out and look outwards for the beauty is all about looking inwards for the beauty. So it's an interesting week ahead. So this is a reading for the week, and like I always do with my readings, I shuffling the cards, and then I will pick 5 cards. I will pick a card for the week, 2 guidance cards, a lesson that we're needing to learn this week, and a moving forward card. So I just cut the pack 3 times like I always do, and I always pack it back in one pile, and I find that this kind of breaks the energy up. And then I pick a number, and I am getting the number 5. And this will give us an idea of what's going on. So let's pick the cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first card is traveling, and this is all about being on a journey. And I love this card because it's a reminder that we are on this journey and not to get too caught up in the scenery of the journey. So we're all heading nowhere, is the reality of it. We all think we're heading somewhere. We've all got these dreams and these goals, but actually the reality of it is we're just heading on this planet of life. And this is an experience, and I think for this week, especially here in the UK while restrictions and lockdown is still in place, it's just about recognising that this is a journey, and just taking the time this week to really check in on what you're seeing. Really utilising this week to look at the scenery. Where are you at in your relationships? Where are you at with your work? Where are you at with where you're living? Where are you happy with the scenery that's happening in your life right now? Because very often we get very caught up in the future or the past, but actually when we come into the present and look into the present, we actually can really see where we're at. And actually when we stop, when where we're at is actually not too bad. So this is a real opportunity to recognise that we're on this journey. I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. Even if lockdown does end, this is a process that we're in. And I feel I always call the travelling card also a process card, in that we're in a process. We're on a journey with this, and it's about taking a breath, not wanting it to change. It's not this. We're not going to go back to how it was. So we just have to keep on moving forward. So it's checking out the scenery where you are now and taking your attention towards what we're heading into the sun. So just getting more of a focus also, like heading towards the sun. Where are you heading to? And letting go of the past. And if you don't know, that's okay too. It's just taking one step at a time. And in any traveling situation, we don't know. Most people who have taken a backpack on their back and going out are really accepting and trusting and surrendering of where the energy is going to take them. So this is a good opportunity to just see this as a bit of a traveling experience, and that we don't know, and just taking a little bit less seriously in the fact that actually when we do travel, when we do just see it as a traveling, magic happens, real magic happens, and being open to that magic. But let's pick a guidance card for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got the Creator. So I love this card because it's actually saying, what are we wanting to create? So it's bringing the energy back down to the solar plexus. And the solar plexus is where our self-worth lies. And actually the reality of creating and being a creator is self-worth. The more we deserve it, the more we create it. And I have to say, that's why there's so many more male leaders on the planet. There's so many more male entrepreneurs, male millionaires. So what we claim success is because the self-worth is much more integrated in the male psyche than it is in the female psyche, because it's all around self-worth, and when we have a deep sense of self-worth and we feel we deserve it, we can create it without a doubt. With self-worth and complete trust and faith in our abilities means we can do anything. Trump being a prime example of someone that so can create whatever they wanted. Another one that I always quote is Arnold Schwarzenegger, who, having born in a small Austrian town in Vienna, ended up being governor of California. I mean, there are no boundaries when self-worth is strong. So this is an opportunity to say, okay, I'm on this journey. I've got my backpack on my back. I'm going to see this as a journey. What do I want to create? And the more we are aligned to that self-worth, and the more we are aligned to what we deserve, the bigger nothing's impossible. We can create whatever we want. So just tuning in, checking in with your dreams and what you want to seed in the future, and then working on and building on that self-worth, that solar plexus self-worth energy, and that will help you create it. Okay, great. So let's pick a second guidance card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got guilt. And this is a very interesting one, because guilt is something that is a syndrome, and it's a storm that happens in our minds when we feel we're not doing what we should be doing. And actually, really, above the storm or behind the storm is actually where the sun is shining. So if you have been feeling guilty, and certainly over the Scorpio full moon, it's going to bring up a lot of guilt, because it's an intense watery moon, this moon, and with all those planets in retrograde, the guilt syndrome can definitely get ignited over a Scorpio full moon. So guilt around relationships that might have ended, guilt around whether we haven't seen our families, guilt of whether we haven't done enough, or guilt that we have done too much. I mean, it can come in any guises. So if the guilt card does come, recognize that it's a syndrome, that we all suffer from it, and finding a way of forgiving yourself. That is the easiest way out of guilt, is just to accept that it's happened, because guilt can only come from in hindsight. We don't feel guilt, if we're doing it in the moment, we feel guilty. We know we're doing it in the moment, we're conscious. But guilt is often in a hindsight situation. So it's recognizing that you're doing your best in the moment that you're doing it. You're making the choices at the best possible moment that you're making those choices. And actually, if in hindsight you can see that it wasn't the best choice for you, or it didn't turn out as well as you thought, or the consequences weren't what you were expecting, it's finding that forgiveness, doing some Ho'oponopono, or whatever you feel you need to, meditation, relaxation, but really allowing yourself to accept that the guilt's there and to find that inner forgiveness, and coming back to that creator energy rather than get stuck in the guilt. What do you want to create? Because when we're stuck in the guilt, we become a victim and we become very paralyzed. It's like it's like claws that claw at our mind. So coming out of the if you want to come out of the guilt, if you find the guilt really rising quite strongly this week, coming back into the creator energy and saying, okay, so I didn't do such a great job then, doesn't matter, what do I want to create now? And that will help you come out of the guilt. So again, I just want to remind you that this is a reading for this week specifically. So if you haven't felt guilty before, this is for this week. You might find that this week it gets triggered, especially because it's a Scorpio full moon. So the guidance card is that the guilt might get triggered, but you're a creator. So what do you want to create instead? And how do you want to make it different? And that puts us back in the driving seat of making different decisions and different choices. So what is the lesson we're needing to learn this week? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got exhaustion. So again, pacing yourself, making sure that you don't get too exhausted. We're all pushing quite hard now. A lot of people are going online. And also the isolation, not having human contact, not having human hugs, not being connected can make us exhausted because we feed off each other's energy and it inspires us being around other people and we get inspired and energized. So I would say this week also with the 4 planets going retrograde, with the full moon, to really manage your energies. Really, if you're and to go directly with the flow of your energy. So if you're feeling sluggish, you feel sluggish. If you don't want to get out of bed, don't get out of bed. If you want to eat, then eat. If you don't want to eat, then don't eat. My feeling this week is to follow your energy flow and not to put any extra pressure on yourself. Also, if you've been giving a lot, take some time out, making sure that you're getting as much as you're giving out. Because if there's an imbalance of how much you're giving out and you're not getting it back, you could find this week burnout. This week, certainly with all the planetary activity that's going on, and especially over this full moon, easy burnout. So again, also high emotional charges can make us very exhausted. This also not only relates to physical exhaustion, but mostly mental exhaustion. When we're trying to work things out, we're stressing too much about money or stressing about our children or education or all the things we can't control. So this is really about letting go of what we can't control and managing that mental exhaustion, letting go of any guilt that might come up this week from past situations that you took in that time, recognizing that we're the creator. So coming back to that self-worth, what do you want to create? Letting go of the past, surrendering, forgiving, and moving forward to what you want to create, recognizing this is a full-on journey. Okay, great. So coming to the last card, which is the moving forward card. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got laziness. And now this is, a lot of people get upset when they get this card because they think it's laziness of physical laziness, but it's not. It's a laziness of consciousness. So again, it's also being very aware that the mirror is cracking around us. Again, Scorpio full moon, illuminating the darkness, fueled by Pluto that's going retrograde. So the unconscious is coming to the fore. So rather than be a victim, play the blame game, which is all old three-dimensional stuff, is actually taking personal responsibility for what's happening in your life, coming back into that creator power and making a difference in the situation. So really being aware, because it's very easy to sit on the edge of consciousness and just say, oh well, sod it. But actually when that mirror is cracking, it's a very powerful time to actually dive deep and learn more about who we are. And so this week, taking that opportunity, I would say, to dive deep, to get out of the mind and into the unconscious, into the heart, to kind of actually see what is happening on a deeper level, and from there decide what you want to create and how you want to move forward. So don't get lazy this week. Don't become a victim. Don't allow the emotion. Don't allow this moon. There's 2 ways this moon is going to work, this Scorpio full moon and all the planets in retrograde. The first one is that you're going to surf it. The second is that you're going to drown. And the third is that you're going to be swirled around. So 3 options really. And these cards are showing us the way to surf it. And the way we surf it is that we let go of the guilt. We keep our energies up. We know we're the co-creator, and we recognize that this is a journey. And we don't play the blame game. We take personal responsibility for the choices that we've made, for the decisions that we've made, for the life that we have right now. And if we don't like what we're seeing, then how do you want to change it? Don't worry that you don't like it. Don't focus on what you don't like. Focus on what you want to bring in to change that. And that is the power of this card. It's saying that it's only when we become a victim of life that we forget that we have the power to live our lives exactly as we want to live. So a very interesting reading for this week, I have to say. I really like the flow of this reading. I've been doing loads of tarot readings this week, and I found them really, really profound. I like this reading because I like the difference of the tempos of the cards. They're very different. Obviously, they're not as upbeat as they have been in the past. If anyone's been following me for the last few weeks, quite heavy cards like guilt and exhaustion. But what I would expect on a Scorpio full moon, 4 planets retrograde, cosmic chaos, south-north nodes changing. I mean, so much going on that it's not surprising we're going to pick some kind of dark cards. But the last card I want to pick is the one underneath, which is the control card. And again, this week it's recognizing where we're in control and where we're not in control, and that is the most important, I think, message under this. So hidden in the unconscious is knowing what we can control and what we can't, because a lot of the exhaustion comes from fighting something that we have no control over, fighting all this stuff that's coming up that, whether you like it or not, is nothing you don't have any control over. So it's coming back to what can you control, and what you can control is your own life and your own choices and your own decision making. And that's why the creator is so strong in this reading, because it's saying bring the control back to you, set your energy into your heart and into your self-worth, and decide how you're going to do it differently, rather than fighting all the things that you can't control. It's just a waste of precious energy. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's going to leave you feeling very, very exhausted, and it's not going to make any changes in your life. Whereas when you focus on what you do really want to change, what really needs to change in your life, and you recognize that you have the power to make those changes, that's where the control really lies. So that is the end of the reading. Thank you so much for joining me. It has been another pleasure. I will be putting these up on YouTube if you missed the reading, with a picture of the cards, and hopefully see you on Tuesday for my Facebook Live, which is going to be on spirituality versus morality, which is something I wanted to bring up also over this super full moon. And also on Wednesday, I'm having a super full moon ceremony. So if you want to harness the energies and get prepared for the super full moon, join me on Wednesday evening for the full moon ceremony, where we're going to harness the energy and really utilize this super full moon and harness that so that we can use the energies for our benefit rather than be tumbled around. We're going to surf this super moon wave in a very powerful, beautiful way. So that's on Wednesday. Everything's on Ritual Cacao on my website, RebeccaShaman.com. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great rest of the night, and thank you for joining me. Bye for now.